So with regard to cultivation of bodhicitta, yesterday we discussed, first we should think about the sameness of all of us, or the equality of all of us. The equality of all of us can be thought in many ways, but here we are primarily thinking in terms of wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. What? We are all same, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Not only human beings, but all sentient beings are same in wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. The legless, as Kirti Chumbel says, the legless ant runs in search of peace. The legless worms run in search of peace. The eyeless ant run in search of peace. In short, the whole world is running in search of peace. The movement from the tiniest insect to all human beings, we are going up, down, moving here, there, even changing sides. It's because we want happiness, not wanting suffering. Right? So all the movements that we do in search of peace and happiness. So in that we are all same. Whether you are a king or a pauper or a man or woman, monk or layperson, exactly same, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Same. Because of this equality, because of this sameness, it doesn't make sense just to completely only think about oneself and completely forget about others' need. Doesn't make any sense. As I said yesterday, just give me one reason, a convincing reason that there is a reason that I should take care of just myself and no one else. You cannot give a convincing reason. Yes, of course, there is a reason that you work for yourself, but to think just only oneself and completely neglect others, no reason. No reason. Not only that, much of the problems and difficulties that we get in our daily life is because of this self-cherishing attitude, completely neglecting the needs of others. Fear, suspicion, doubt, negative computation, all arises because of this self-grasping attitude. I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. Not good for your health, physical health, mental health. Right? To have confidence is good, that I can do. I'm not saying that you should not have confidence. Confidence that I can do is good. But thinking only about oneself, completely forgetting others, that is not only wrong, but absolutely wrong. So that's the real enemy. If we are to pinpoint an enemy, which is the sworn enemy, not only in this life, but from beginningless lives, is this internal enemy, the internal enemy of self-cherishing attitude. The internal enemy of self-cherishing attitude. The external enemy, however horrible they are, they come from outside. So we can run away from them. We can hide ourselves. If we are caught, then we can ask for their forgiveness. Please spare my life. I'll do whatever you do. Right? But this internal negative enemy, which is inside you, number one, it has already captured your headquarters. It's inside you, it's not coming from outside. And we have this very funny tendency that whatever is there within me should be good. Right? Like for example, anger. If I say anger is horrible, negative, of course you understand, I understand. Yes, anger is bad, horrible, negative. But when you get angry, then you think my anger is good. There is a reason for me to get angry. You see? Negative emotions are bad. Yes, everybody says bad. But when it is your negative emotion, then you think it's okay. This is the problem, you see. This is the problem. So therefore, whether you believe in Buddhism or not, whether you are a religious practitioner or not, but it is common sense. If we reflect a little bit, we will understand that these negative emotions are our sworn enemy. Now this is now not only discussed in Buddhism. Now today, what has been discussed in Buddhism for the last many thousand years is now discussed in science, in psychology, in philosophy. You must have read many of these books, emotional intelligence, environmental intelligence. So many books are written. Emotional intelligence means to be aware of one's own emotion and to know how to regulate them. Even in the management courses, now they talk about value, controlling emotion. Right? So therefore these are like really common sense things, and it's extremely important. Many people ask me, Geshe, if we have to do one practice, what is that practice that we should do? And many people, they come and say, oh, I am undergoing this retreat, I am doing this meditation, this course. Of course I have to say, yes, very good, excellent, wonderful. But then for me, immediately a question arises, okay, meditation is good, what do you mean by meditation? What are you doing? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? Normally we do meditation because everyone is doing. We go for a retreat because everyone is doing. Because we have this flock mentality, following others, letting others lead by your nose. That's why all these stupid leaders are able to run us so easily. Right? Really, honestly speaking, we don't have that power and intelligence and capacity to think. We have the capacity, but we don't want to do. We are kind of lazy, bunch of lazy people, you see. But for me, practice means confronting these negative emotions. Whether you are walking, whether you call it meditation, not meditation, but you should find for yourself the presence of these negative emotions in general, and especially that negative emotion which has a predominant presence in your mind. For example, out of many negative emotions, if you are somebody who is more hot-tempered, more angry-natured, then the thing that you need to do is, okay, I make it a point from today onwards that I will reduce the intensity of my anger. And through that way, if you have reduced the intensity of your anger a little bit, you are a good practitioner. Otherwise, okay, if everybody is going for Kala Chakra, yes, I join there. You inhale the dust, spend all the money, go up, down. Everybody, then you find coughing, I'm not against, attending. Of course, that it has its own merit, but it's a big question. How much you are going to get it. You see, really, we just do what others are doing. And it's plain to see that all the problems that we are seeing today in the world is because of negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred. Desire, unchecked attachment. Because of desire, as I briefly mentioned yesterday, the whole world is running as if everybody is in a marathon race. Running for what? Money. Money. Why running for money? Desire, impulse. I want this, I want that. You see? Of course you need money, of course you need wealth, but how much is the limit that you need? We don't know how to live our life. We have a small income, then also the way we live our life, we don't know how to spend money. We squander our money for many useless things, you see. And the world is creating this business market in so many different names that your money will be robbed and taken away by them so easily in a split second. Go to the market, they will dupe you. they'll cheat you. And I've been cheated, I know that many times. Please give me 1 dozen banana. Give good ones, okay? Acha wala dena. Haan ji, Guruji, jarur. And stupid as I am, I don't check, I trust him. Then he said, Guruji, dal diya. Only when you reach home and unpack those things, then you see at least 3-4 bananas are rotten. This is just one classic example, you see. So we are cheated like this. So these days I've been telling my friends, I refuse to go to a restaurant now. First of all, they charge you so much. On this, now you have GST, CST, whatever. So I really, I'm not saying I'm not going to restaurant and things like that, but what I'm trying myself is, I don't want to be cheated repeatedly like this. The same food which you can eat in your home, the vegetables and fruits that you can buy easily, good for your health, which will cost you maybe 100, 200 rupees. The same thing, you know. If you go to a restaurant and things like, they'll charge you 500, 600 rupees. What is that? Use, you see. So the purpose of this kind of study is not to let you be fooled. In Buddhism, one of the most important points that we talk about is disparity between appearance and reality. Nangsu da nesu. We go after appearance. And then we get entrapped. If it's a marriage, go after appearance. How nice the girl looks, how nice the boy looks. Just go after appearance. You are in great hurry, no time to see how good this person is as a person. You just go after appearance. In a shop, you go after appearance. And you go cheated repeatedly. Because they know that these people come after appearance. So therefore, if you go to a shop, especially in a mall, everything is arranged, spotless, so nicely, with nice packet, nice wrappings. Many of these, fruit drinks, outside it's multicolored, so nice. Inside it's, I don't know how many months old it is. Years old, or at least months old. It will not smell because they are very clever, they put some preservatives which is not good for your health, you see. So we are cheated all the time. So therefore the purpose of Buddhist study is to encourage you to be able to use your human intelligence. Whatever you are doing, wherever you are going, analyze, judge for yourself, and have the courage to say no to those things which is not good for you, not good for the society, not good for the environment, not good for the country. And what is good for all of us? Bodhicitta. People may not use the word bodhicitta, but people everywhere now they talk about value. Value jara, abhi value nahi hai, ethics nahi hai. People are seeing that, you see. Right? So therefore this kind of study becomes not only pertinent but very, very important, very, very important. So first of all, see equality of all of us. And then next do the practice of exchanging oneself for others. Now exchanging oneself for others doesn't mean that I imagine myself in your place, or you become me or I become you, not like that. But exchanging means right now my focus has been just myself. Now replace this by thinking more about others' need, others' well-being. That's called exchanging oneself for others. Right? Now when we talk about this, people might think, oh, how is it possible that I think more about others than myself? Others are others, I am myself. So how can I think others as myself? It is possible. Just take the example of a mother who loves so much, her say small child. That small child is other than the mother. But because of her love, she sees that child as herself, more than herself. And one example that is given in the Buddhist text is, it says, take the example of your body. Take the example of your body, which you now cherish so much. saying that this is my body. From where this body came from? Your parents. The ovum and the egg that came from the parents. So, strictly speaking, it is body of the parents, not yourself. But you, right from the beginning, you started calling this combination of the egg and the ovum of the parents as your body, my body, my body, my body. Now you have no problem calling this myself. So similarly, if you start calling my sentient beings, my sentient beings, my sentient beings, then they'll become very close to your mind. So it is possible. So it is in this way you should exchange oneself for others with this kind of thinking. Now, to do that, as I briefly mentioned yesterday, it is important to see the negativeness of self-cherishing attitude, the harmfulness of self-cherishing attitude, and the great many benefits of cherishing others. As I mentioned yesterday, self-cherishing attitude is referred in Buddhism as a kind of chronic illness. All the sufferings, all the problems, countless downfalls, negativities that we experience are primarily because of self-cherishing attitude. And all the good things that you see in the world, and Shantideva says it, all the good things that you see in this world are because of cherishing others. Imagine if we live in a world where everybody takes care of others, where there is no selfish attitude, no negative self-cherishing attitude. Imagine that world is like heaven. That's why in Buddhism we talk about compassion. And therefore the Buddha says compassion is one practice which, if it is there in the palm of your hand, you have all the practices. If you have this compassion for all sentient beings, all the wrong things that you normally do perform to other sentient beings will automatically cease. Automatically cease. For example, when a mother truly loves her child, how can that mother mistreat their child? Impossible, because she has so much love. So all the wrongdoings that we see in relation to other sentient beings is a clear indication that you don't love them, you don't care about them. So because of this negative self-cherishing attitude, whenever you get an opportunity, you engage in exploitation, you engage in corruption, you engage in bullying, this happens. But if you love somebody, how can you do this? So that's why compassion is so important. That's why loving kindness is so important. That's why bodhicitta is so important. And bodhicitta, of course, is the loftiest mind. A mind which says, how nice if I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. There cannot be a mind bigger than this. So in this way, Buddhists are very optimistic, highly optimistic. I want to become the best. To become Buddha means to get that highest kind of happiness. From an ordinary parlance, it is almost like, I'm not trying to discourage you, but from an ordinary parlance, it's almost like unachievable, almost like. It's not easy, but you aim for that. You maintain that farsightedness. Why? Because in order to help all these countless sentient beings, you have to have a high goal. The solution for this multifold sufferings of all sentient beings is that oneself become an omniscient person, who then is able to show what is good for each and every sentient being. Until you reach that point, you may be able to help a little bit here and there, but the ultimate help is not possible. So that's the big goal. But of course, right now, we are not saying that you will achieve that goal in one day. Forget about Buddhahood. Even the practices of Bodhisattva, we cannot do it in one day. But that doesn't mean that you cannot make an improvement. If you appreciate this mind, bodhicitta, and think about it at least 2-3 times in a day, pray, think it will make your mind completely calm and happy. Many of the turbulences, agitations, unhappinesses that you have in your mind will disappear. I'm saying it, you do it. You do it. You see? As soon as your mind goes within yourself, and then think about this wonderful mind of bodhicitta, it is a very soothing, calming effect on your mind. Unlike the negative emotions. Negative emotions by nature are turbulent. For example, there is nobody who says, today I was very angry, so I really enjoyed the day. Because everybody knows, whether you're a believer or not believer, as soon as you get angry, you get perturbed, you're agitated, blood pressure increases, head starts dizzying, become mad, you see. And then your body starts shaking, you see. And it's one of my teachers told me, some people who are very angry, when they get angry, some kind of steam comes from their head. Really, we know that his face becomes red, and then breathing becomes difficult, The last time also you said this to me, today also you are saying this. You see, already you can see the guy is in big difficulty, you see. There's anger. Then attachment. Attachment comes in a very nice way. I'm your friend, I'll help you. Looks very gentle. It's not very aggressive like anger. It comes like a friend, you see. But the problem is, you also could approach that object with attachment. Then you get stuck with that object. So the kind of interesting feature with all these negative emotions is, you should do reflect and study about, do a research on this, whether what I'm saying is true or not. All these negative emotions, they have a destabilizing factor. Destabilizing means to destroy your stability. For example, when you get angry, of course, you are not stable. Mentally, you are now crazy, you are mad. Of course, a madman cannot be stable. Similarly, attachment. When you have attachment to a person or an object, immediately your body is almost like going this, you see. Your balance is lost already. Your stability is lost. And then finally you got this, oh, I got this, look at your hand, You thought you got it, but look at your hand. It's not free, you got stuck. So all these negative emotions, they are narrow. They are not based on logic and reason. And they will destroy your stability. They will destroy calmness of your mind. So therefore, the best way of taking care of yourself is to try to do away with these negative emotions. There's a way. There's a dua. Okay? We all want to be stable, calm, undisturbed, you see. It is not so much other people, Sometimes we say, oh, silence, don't disturb. We are saying this to other people. But the real disturbance is created from within your mind. Even when you are alone. When negative emotions arise, you are completely disturbed. You are alone, but you are disturbed, you see. So for me, and that is what I do, always when people ask me, what is one practice? Then I say, I don't know many of these complicated tantric teachings and things like that. So I tell them, try to reduce your negative emotion and increase the positive emotion. And I suppose that is the goal of all the countless teachings of Sutra and Tantra. They all come down to one thing, how to destroy these negative emotions. And if you don't deal with these negative emotions, then I don't know, even if you have undertaken all these retreats and meditations, chanting mantras, I've seen many people, probably I'm included, I've seen many people who attended Kala Chakra, 10, 20 times, who undertook retreat many times, but I don't see any change in those people. I mean, that's not Buddhist practice. That's not Buddhist practice. I'm not saying it is easy, but there should be some change if you are a practitioner. So that change will come not just by talking, not just by reading book, but applying it in your daily life. If you are impatient, then next time you say, okay, I'll be a little bit more patient. If you are angry, you're hot-tempered, then you should say, okay, I know I am hot-tempered, so I will make sure that today I'll not get angry. That person is coming now, I have to be careful, So that is practice. Right? So therefore, see the negativeness of self-cherishing attitude and the great many benefits of bodhicitta. For example, in this okay, this book you can read, okay, so I'll not read it much. So you should read these books or other books, think about, count, write down the drawbacks, negativeness of self-cherishing attitude, and write down the great many benefits of the mind like bodhicitta, which cherishes the well-being of other sentient beings. So that you are able to develop that conviction, yes, bodhicitta is important, yes, compassion is important, yes, loving kindness is important. Through your own personal reflection, not just by reading the books. Read the books and then think how far this sounds true. That will help you develop the conviction. With that, there is a likelihood that you will be able to do the practice. Now, when it comes to doing the practice, when do you think you will do the practice? When do you start? When will you start? After finishing the medical college in Menjikang? Or when do you think you will start doing the practice? As soon as possible. As soon as possible, because death can come anytime. Anytime, death can come anytime. That's why the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence, including death. After he got enlightened, when he was requested, then the first teaching that he gave us, Four Noble Truths, out of which the first is the truth of the suffering, out of which the first feature is impermanence. Including death. And death can be any time, it may be tomorrow. There is no seniority. I'm not trying to unnecessarily frighten you. But it is important, because once you understand that impermanence and death, then you will make a move, then you will do the good thing. In Tibetan we say, oh, this man is living his life as if he is not going to die. When somebody engages in a lot of negative activities, then we say, oh, this man, look, he is living as if he is not going to die. If you are going to die, if you understand impermanence, then you will also be able to see the impermanent nature of other people. And once you understand this, how an impermanent person can develop attachment to another impermanent person. How an impermanent person can develop hatred to another impermanent person. Meaning that in the Buddhist text it says, your physical form is like a water bubble. Will you develop attachment, strong attachment to a water bubble? No, because you see, oh, this is a bubble, there's no essence, nothing, You will not develop that attachment, or you will not develop that hatred towards that water bubble. Right? And as I cited yesterday, as Shantideva says, you don't have to kill people, they will die. Meaning that when you understand they are impermanent, they are fragile, they are already suffering, then why should I create more suffering? They are going to die, why should I kill? These are like very convincing and very simple actually, very simple. And I tell you this story, I told this story many times. I told you this story of flying in an aeroplane or staying in a 5-star hotel. So when you fly in an aeroplane, or check in a 5-star hotel, normally, everybody looks like a gentleman, gentlewoman. At the most you will say, hi. Then you go like this. I am somebody special, this one is somebody special. Then we, take some wine or some nice food and then, Then you fly. Everybody takes their seat, and everybody is gentleman, gentlewoman, looks good. Then the captain, the pilot announces, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the zone of turbulence. Tie your belt, seat belt, fasten your seat belt." You all know this, right? Fasten your seat belt. And then you already get a little bit disturbed. And then finally you enter that zone of turbulence, and the aeroplane starts shaking, You know what people do? Immediately they start smiling, looking at each other. This is teaching. Why can't you smile much in advance? So this is teaching, because it is saying that when you are in trouble, the one that will help you is a smile. Friendship. And why can't you extend that friendship and smile much in advance? You can't, because you think you are somebody. If you have a little bit money, you get proud. A little bit name, you get proud. A little bit fame, you get proud. Not realizing that whoever you are, your body is still impermanent, fragile. We don't think about these things. And with these superficial successes, we get puffed up, you see. And I've seen this myself in the flight or a 5-star hotel. I've seen this myself many times. You see. So therefore, what really will help you in your life or at the time of the death is a positive mind of friendship, mind that benefits others. That will help you all the time. And when you have that mind, then you are going to die tonight, okay, no problem. Then no problem, because the death is death of my body, there is no death to the mind. My mind is comparatively well prepared. I did many good things. I left many good imprints on my mind. So it's like sleeping and then waking up, you see. When you go to bed tonight and sleep, you don't get scared, because you know you are going to get up tomorrow morning. So similarly, even when you die, you leave this body, no problem. You take birth and get new body. It's just like changing your coat, you see. Provided if you have done this good practices. But instead, if you go after all these superficial things, money, name and fame, negative computation, bullying others, cheating others, then at the time of death, then you have so much suffering, so much regret. This kind of experience is told not only in Buddhism but in ordinary life's experiences. There is a story of a mother who had one son and he got a little bit ill. So she brought that son to the Buddha, and Buddha, just by seeing them, the Buddha said, "Oh, this boy, he will die after 1 month, I think. After 1 year. This boy, something like that, I don't remember the time. This boy will die after 1 year." Then the boy was like shivering, he was so frightened. He was hugging onto the skirt of the mother and then almost crying, shivering, what to do. "Can you please, Buddha, please help me. I don't want to die after 1 year, 1 year is too short." Then Buddha said, "Death is death. It comes to anybody. It's not my decision, There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do." So the mother and the son left. So out of that 1 year, in the first 6 months, he tried to do all the good things that he can do, right? All the good things that he can do. In addition to that, the next 3 months, he was again full of regret and remorse, recalling all the bad things that he has done to so many people. He was full of sadness that I did this bad thing to this person, I did this bad thing to that other person. So when only 3 months were left, then he came to Buddha. Then the Buddha said, during the last few months, did you do something negative, wrong to other people? Then he said, how can I do any wrong thing to other people? I'm going to die soon. How can I think about harming others? Buddha said, good, good. I don't know whether you are going to die in 1 year or not. But I told you so that you are able to come back to your senses. I've been thinking about death so many years back. And at least you have started now thinking during the last few months, which changes your life. That's the point, That's the point. At the time of the death, then you regret all the wrongdoings. You are happy if you've done something good. That is the story repeatedly told by all those people who experienced that death. You see. So therefore, once you see this impermanent, fragile, fleeting nature of everybody, you will always, whoever you see, of course, this doesn't mean to say one day you just completely change, you are compassionate and smiling all the time, never say any bad thing. That kind of, magical transformation will not happen in one day. But at least because of the impact of such proper thinking, that on and off you will be able to see everybody, whoever he, she is, famous, not famous, you will have this understanding, yes, I know you. Yes, I know you, we are sailing in the same boat. So I have my concern, I have my compassion and love to you, you are still, completely confused, therefore you are doing all these bad things, but I have my sympathy, That will help you not to develop jealousy, ill will, hatred, anger, and so on. Right? So therefore, understanding the way things are, you call it impermanence, you call it suffering, you call it emptiness, you call it interdependent origination. The purpose of all this realization is so that you come back to your senses, you understand your reality, where you are. Accept it. Don't live in a superficial world. Accept the reality. And then make this life a worthwhile life, meaningful life. As somebody said, when I came into this world, I came crying and people welcomed me by clapping their hand, by saying, oh, a baby is born, So when I came into this, now listen to this carefully, when I came into this world, I came crying. The child comes crying. The first thing that the child does is crying, not laughing. Whether American, Chinese, Tibetan, no difference. First thing is, then you are born, crying, right? So he says, when I came into this world, I came crying and people welcomed me by clapping their hands. Now when I will leave this world, meaning when I die, I will die laughing and smiling, and people will cry after me. So that means you should make your life such a wonderful life that people will really miss you. Then your visit on this earth is meaningful. And that we all can do. And that is why His Holiness Dalai Lama repeatedly says, in this life, even if you are able to, transform or change or benefit the life of 20, 30 people, then your visit on this planet is meaningful. But instead, if you keep on, adding problems, difficulties, then your meaning is, then your life on this planet is really like a disaster. Okay, so I'll read the next verse. Now, with regard to the cultivation of bodhicitta, there are two main practices: meditation on conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. And we discussed already the process of exchanging oneself for others. During the meditative session, you undertake this practice of exchanging oneself for others, and during the post-meditative session, then you undertake the practice of taking the troubles, transforming the troubles into fortune, or taking the misfortunes into the path. This makes perfect sense. Look at this. During the meditative session, practice exchanging oneself for others. That's meaning during the meditative session you imagine that I'll take all their sufferings, I'll give all my benefit to others. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But it is during the meditative session, nobody is harming you. So you can do that. It's wonderful, it's wonderful, but you can do that. But the trouble is when you get up from your meditation and mix with other people, which is called post-meditative session, then you will see all kind of strange people, right? Pulling your legs or bullying you or exploiting you or cheating you. It is that period which is really the test of your practice. The meditative session is like charging the battery. Having charged the battery, the flashlight should work when you go into the darkness. Now you fully charge the battery, but when you go into the darkness, the flashlight is not working then it's useless. So similarly, during the meditative session you charge it, undertake the practice of exchanging oneself for others. So during the post-meditative session, when you encounter many problems, many misfortunes, many troubles, then you should know how to transform them into the spiritual practice. Right? So that is what he is talking about. So the next verse is talking about meditation on the exchange of oneself for others during the meditative session. All sufferings result from a craving for personal happiness. I mean, it's not, when he says craving for personal happiness, it's not just saying the wish to have happiness for yourself is wrong, but what he's saying, as I said earlier, is craving only for personal happiness, forgetting others. The completely enlightened state, that is Buddhahood, is born from the wish to help others. Today we talk so much about Buddhahood, how great Buddha is, how great this person is, this Bodhisattva is. But they become achieve that state by practicing the mind that benefits others, by practicing bodhicitta. Right? So therefore, perfect exchange of one's happiness with others' suffering is a practice of Bodhisattva. Then during the post-meditative session, there are many practices. Now, for example, during the post-meditative session, you will encounter many things that you do not like, you do not desire. So when you encounter those things, you should be able to transform them into spiritual practice. So verse 12 says, even if someone due to greed either steals all your possessions or instigates others to do so, dedicating one's body, wealth and all the virtues of the 3 times to that person is a bodhisattva practice. Now this is something that we can aspire. We may not be able to do it right away. Like even in Dharamsala, we have a lot of burglars. So they come and break the log and take things away. So this kind of problems also there. So even if someone due to greed either steals all your possessions or instigates others to do so. So it may be due to greed. Steals means it may be a thief, it may be a robber. Thief, now according to the Buddhist explanation of thief, its basic thief means stealing, not thief, stealing. Stealing means taking things stealthily, like the thief does, or it can be like taking things forcibly, as the robber does. So any kind of thing that you take when it is not given to you, that is called stealing. So therefore in the market also they steal your money. If they tell lie and cheat you, they are actually stealing. But of course if you say, oh, you are stealing, then of course they will sue you. You see? But strictly speaking, that is stealing. When you take others' money, others' possessions, when you do not have the right to do so, that is stealing. If you are like working in a government office or in an institution, and you misuse the property belonging to those when you don't deserve to use that is stealing. So therefore it is important to again understand the real meaning of stealing. So dedicating one's body, wealth and all the virtues of the 3 times to that person is a bodhisattva practice. And then taking suffering into the path. Verse 13, while one does not have even the slightest fault, if someone were to cut one's head off, still receiving upon oneself their negative deeds out of compassion is a bodhisattva practice. I mean, this is just an example. While one does not have even the slightest fault, even if you have done nothing, not even the slightest mistake, but if somebody is so angry and they cut your head, still you should think, oh, it is not me, it is this person who is cutting my head, who is going to suffer. So develop compassion to that person. Now, of course, we can't do this right now. Unthinkable. But we do encounter many things which we don't deserve. Even if you have not done something, people may blame you, people may accuse you. These things happen. So when such things happen, then you should think, okay, he is doing that because of negative emotion, because of ignorance, because of lack of understanding. So what is important is that don't make your mind unhappy. If there is a possibility to explain the situation, explain it. If there is no possibility, then from my side, I've done nothing, so they are just saying it. So the blame goes to them, not to me. Blame goes to them, not to me. Right? So what he is saying is, much of the suffering that we encounter is not necessarily what is done by other people. Yes, people do bad things to you. But in addition to that, when people do bad things to you, if you don't receive it, you will not suffer. But we receive it, you see. As if, thank you, You said this bad thing. I'll remember it, thank you. I'll remember it day and night. And then who suffers? You suffer. And that's why His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, with the Chinese wrongdoing, he tries to repay kindness. And he always says, Nyingje, ta mahim barang re. He repeatedly says that. How poor thing that they don't realize, therefore they are doing all these bad things. You see? And His Holiness says, whatever is there to do, I do, then after that I forget, I have peaceful sleep. You see? Like that. Rest of us, we remember all the time. 20 years back he said this to me. Now in today's world, people think about fighting some other country because that other country has done something wrong before many generations. This is the way of the short-sighted, stupid people, you see. It's almost like saying, okay, I'll try to find out what he did in many past lives. You do a divination or whatever, then you fight with that person. Really, horrible, stupid. So therefore, don't receive it. And the Buddha always says, yes, people do bad things, but I don't receive it. I don't take it. I don't take it, therefore I don't suffer. Most of the time we suffer because we take it. If you don't want to suffer, don't take it. If other people mistreat you, it is understandable. If you mistreat yourself, it is completely stupid. So don't do it. So that's the point. The main thing is, and then the next verse says, even if some people were to say all kinds of unpleasant things about you, because people are very fond of gossiping about other people. Oh, he is this, oh, she is this. And then especially we are so fond of highlighting other people's shortcomings and faults, not their good qualities. If I praise you saying that, oh, this gentleman I met, he is very good, then someone else will say, yeah, I know him, but, You see, so again, immediately they are saying, okay, you are talking about good things, I have bad things also to say. Here I am not talking about bad things, I am only talking about good things, so you should also join. Oh, yeah, oh, very good, very good. But normally we don't do that. Yeah, that is what you saw, but, I know the other side of the story. No. That's not good. That's not good. And the Buddhist teaching says, if you are so interested in talking about bad things, then talk about your own faults. Talk about the good qualities of others. But as far as your own fault is concerned, you are very good in hiding those things. Only you and the Buddha know. We are very good, you see, in hiding our faults and pretend that I'm good. You see. Inside you may be burning, but burning with hot fire, but smoke is not coming out. You are so ingenious and clever, you pretend you are still good, So that is not good. Look at your faults, drawbacks. Look at the qualities of others. Try to help others. Make others' life cheerful. And much of the problem that we see in the world today is because everybody highlights the faults of others. This country is bad, this religion is bad, this woman is bad, this man is bad, Then you start fighting between community, between society, between men and women, whatever, you see. Instead, if you understand this fact, that yes, there is nobody who doesn't have a fault, little bit fault we all have. That's why we are not Buddha. That's why we are sentient being. So we all have fault. Right? So accept that. The important thing is this person with fault has the capacity to become a Buddha. If proper guidance is given, proper path is shown, everybody has this capacity to become good. Because deep down we all want to be happy. It's because of ignorance we are unable to do that. So guide those people, help those people to become better instead of discouraging them. So therefore the Buddhist teaching always says, if you want to criticize the negative emotion in that person, not the person. Make a distinction between the wrongdoer and the wrongdoing. Wrongdoing is bad. Wrongdoer always give opportunity for the wrongdoer to become better. You did this thing, it's wrong, but I know you are a good person, If you say that this person will also be very careful, yes, he understood me, so I'll make sure that I'll not commit this wrong thing again. But without making that discrimination, if you say, oh, you are horrible, you are very bad woman, I don't want to talk to you, you shamed me. If you say things like that, then you are ostracizing people, you are making them a black sheep among the society. Then where is the room for improvement? So many of these so-called terrorists or disenchanted people that we see in the world today, I think, many of this is because of this segregation, discrimination. So it's always important to try to, have this inclusive attitude, encouraging each other, right? This morning and also yesterday I saw in the television, in this, many of the so-called ISIS fighters being caught. So they were coming in a line, and many of them, they are like disabled here, and some of them with crutches and broken leg, So because of ignorance and all these things, the end result is that. You see. So, therefore, and the next verse says, even if some people were to say all kinds of unpleasant things about you and announce, not only they say bad things about you, but they try to announce them throughout the 3,000 realms. And today on the Facebook. When you don't like somebody, then you immediately put that person and say all the bad. It's happening, it's shameful. To praise that person in written with loving kindness is a practice of Bodhisattva. Even if some people were to say all kinds of unpleasant things about you, if some people says you are a dog, will you immediately become a dog? No. If somebody says, oh, you are very ugly, you will immediately become ugly? No. So let them say. The important thing is that from your side you try your best And then the world, they will say something. If you're sitting there, they'll say, oh, why you're sitting here, get up. If you're standing, then they'll say, somebody will come and say, why you're standing, you sit down. So people always have something to say. You see? So don't pay too much attention to that. Next verse. Amidst a large gathering of people, if someone finds out your faults and uses harsh words, even then to regard that person as your spiritual friend and show respect is a bodhisattva practice. Like in a big crowd, if somebody highlights your fault, then you normally feel very ashamed, right? So you get very angry to that person. But according to the bodhisattva practice, it says you transform that opportunity into spiritual practice by thinking, by not getting angry, and instead thinking, oh, it's good actually, I got a little bit ashamed, but it's good that he highlighted my fault, so that next time I will be careful, you see. So that is called actually spiritual teacher. Spiritual teacher. There's a story of one Tibetan teacher. When he was requested to give teaching, then he would say, oh, you want teaching from me? I have nothing to teach, but I will start highlighting all your bad habits. I will keep on highlighting all your faults. So if you are able to stand, then sit. I'll start doing that. If you can't stand, then you can't get teaching from me. So the teaching means to really find out the fault, the anger, the jealousy, the attachment, negative emotions, and then to prevent them, to reduce them, to weaken them. That is the purpose of the teaching. So that is done when somebody says bad things to you. When somebody says good things to you, then you get very proud, again very arrogant, you see. Then next he is talking about taking on the path some of the difficult, experiences, difficult to tolerate experiences. The first one is, even if you have, the verse reads, even if a person whom you have nurtured like your own child sees you as his enemy, showing special love like a mother to her sick child is a practice of bodhisattva. Meaning that if you have looked after somebody, you have nurtured all your love and kindness to that person, you have spent money, for many, many years, love that person, but suddenly this person, instead of being thankful, if he suddenly becomes almost like your sworn enemy, it's possible. So even under such a situation, don't get angry, don't get upset, but instead you should see that person like a mother would see her sick child. Because of the fact that the child is sick, so therefore even if the mother treats the child well, but the child will do all the bad things against, but the mother will not get upset. She will be able to understand that my child is doing like this not because he wants to do that, but the child is sick. So similarly, all sentient beings, as I said earlier, sick of negative emotions. So when you are mentally sick, you do everything, even committing suicide, you see. So it's not surprising that people engage in such negative emotions. And then more importantly, when you do spiritual practice, when you benefit others, you do it because it's something important to do, not expecting anything. The problem is we do something, then we expect something. That's the problem. And then that person doesn't repay that kindness. Then you get, oh, he's ungrateful. You do, like for example, the rain. Rain comes down, gives us water, but it doesn't expect thank you. The sun gives us warmth, doesn't expect thank you. Even to yourself, you give breakfast to yourself. After every breakfast, do you say, thank you, Geshe Lhakdor, I cook my breakfast, right? and then you eat. After that you say, Geshe Lhakdor, thank you. Then you prepare your lunch. And then after having got the lunch, thank you, Geshe Lhakdor. I don't say that. I'm sure no one of you say that. Why? You should say that because you give it to yourself. But you don't say that because it's something that needs to be done. There's no question of thinking. There's no question of thinking. So this is something that is important to do, therefore I will do it. Whether it's a social service or religious practice, when you see the importance of that job, that work, then you do it. Whether others are helping you or not, whether others are thanking you or not. The problem that we see in the society is, we do those things when somebody appreciates and thanks and applauds. When that is not there, nobody does. That is the problem. That is why we don't see initiatives. You see? This is a clear indication that deep down in your mind, you don't appreciate these qualities. Therefore, you do it only when somebody is doing, otherwise, no. Why should I be the one who should suffer? Whereas in the Buddhist teaching, especially in the practice of bodhicitta, we say we consider ourselves servants of all sentient beings. You see, so you should be ever ready to do all the good things whenever there is an opportunity, not waiting somebody to order you to do that. You see. Come on. So therefore, if you do those things that you do, then don't expect any result. Then you have no problem. Next verse. If a person who is equal to you or is beneath you, out of arrogance tries to bully you, taking him to your own crown like a Lama, spiritual teacher with respect, is a practice of Bodhisattva. Now in our workplace, in our association with other people, there are some people who are more intelligent than you, who are more richer than you, who are more stronger than you, and then there are others who are equal to you. So it is possible that these people a little bit higher, they will bully you. Those who are equal to you, they will try to compete with you in a negative sense. So when these things happen, then you should think, okay, now this person is doing this, that is creating me a little bit disturbance, and from that disturbance gives me an opportunity to practice patience. So this person is, in a way, it's my spiritual teacher. In a way, it's my spiritual teacher. So what all these teachings is really saying is, however difficult, unpleasant the situation is, don't make your mind disturbed. Don't make your mind disturbed. I'll give you a very convincing example. Right now we are talking about our relation with human beings or other sentient beings. I'll give you a convincing example, say with the climate. For example, if the sun is now today, let us say 17th October, the sun is really hot. Okay? It's almost burning you, it's very hot. Then how should you react? One is to understand, okay, it is hot because it's summer, or even otherwise, whatever be the reason, it's hot. So you accept it. So what you do is, instead of like complaining or saying bad things against the sun, you use umbrella, sit in a shade, things like that. You do all those things that you can do, instead of blaming the sun. The other way of doing things, damn this sun. This is not the time to be so hot. I wish I'm somewhere high up in the mountain, With this kind of negative attitude, you feel horrible. Not realizing the fact that there are millions living in New Delhi, much hotter than Dharamsala. You see? So without being able to make a comparison of the reality in different situations, just think about yourself, and then with a small irritation, small problem, small suffering, you are unable to tolerate and keep on complaining and shouting and lamenting and making your life totally miserable. And sun seems to be hotter than. Sun is same, but because of your negative attitude, it becomes hotter. And more importantly, if you get angry, of course it's hotter then. You see? So really, as simple as that. As simple as that. Much is dependent upon your mental attitude. Your mental attitude, right? So that is what he is basically saying. So again here you can recall that Shantideva's suggestion. If it is something you can change, don't worry because you can change it. If it is something you can't change it, no use worrying because you can't change it. This kind of formula applies everywhere. You see. And then finally, sometimes we are rich, sometimes very poor, there are so many ups and downs of life. So during those occasions also don't get discouraged, but use those opportunities for your spiritual practice. Even if you are deprived of resources, constantly looked down by others, suffering from severe disease and being haunted by evil spirits, to take upon yourself all the negative deeds and sufferings of all beings without being discouraged is a bodhisattva practice. That means he is giving an extreme situation. We all do encounter different problems, but here he is giving an extreme situation. For example, he says, even if you are deprived of all resources, meaning you are very poor, then that is enough, to suffer. So don't get discouraged. Now he is saying that not only you are poor, deprived of all resources, so you have this problem, number one. Not only that, you have the problem number two, which is not only you are poor, but you are also looked down all the time, bullied by others. Number two problem. Not only that, number three, now even if you are poor, but at least people are supporting you, not look down upon you, then it's okay. So you are looked down upon others. You are poor, you are looked down upon others, but if you are healthy, not sick, then it's still okay. But he says, let us say you also have the third problem, suffering from severe disease. Now even if you have all these problems, but at least your mind is okay, then it's still tolerable. But he says, even if your mind is haunted by evil spirits. So what he is saying is, even if you are under such a drastic, difficult situation, poor, look down upon others, have physical disease, mentally haunted by evil spirits, even if you are under such a difficult situation, don't give up. Giving up is not the solution. Never give up. Never ever give up. And especially in the Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara, he says, let my head be cut, let my limbs, parts of my body be cut, but never ever I will submit to the dictates of the negative emotions. The when you get that courage, you see, they are full of stories in today's world of people who had maintained that courage. There are stories of people who have been for a long time suffering from cancer and AIDS and many horrible diseases, and because of their courage and determination, not only they got healed, but they have started institutions looking after many, many poor people, deprived people. If you get discouraged, then you will never find a way. So never get discouraged. Right? So that's what he's saying. So sometimes when we are under such a difficult situation, you are poor and all these problems, then you forget your spiritual practice. You get completely discouraged. So that should not happen. Then sometimes when you are rich, you are wealthy, you have money, you have fame and name, then again you get arrogant and proud and you forget spiritual practice. So that is what is being said in the next verse. You may be highly popular, number one, the good news, highly popular. When you are popular, you get immediately puffed up, you see. That's why the Buddhist teachers, when they sit on the teaching throne, before they climb on the teaching throne, normally they snap their finger. Snap their finger. When I snap this finger, it's just momentary. The sound you hear is momentary. So similarly, when you climb on the throne, which is a little bit higher than other people, our monkey mind is very tricky. When you get a little bit higher, even in terms of the seed, you might get puffed up. Oh, I am teaching, they are listening. See, I am somebody special, so I can say whatever comes in my mind. It's possible to get puffed up. So therefore, to show that, okay, don't get puffed up, you are impermanent. So that is what we do. So therefore here says, and in the history there are stories of many people who got arrogant when they are popular. So you may be highly popular, number one. Secondly, not only popular, but many people bowing down to you in respect. And thirdly, your material fortunes may be equal to the god of wealth, very, very rich. So even if you have all these good facilities, name and fame and wealth and respect, everything, but these are all name, fame, wealth, these are all ephemeral. They are all impermanent. And therefore Shantideva says, if somebody praises you, don't get puffed up, because there are others who are saying bad things against you. If they are, when you hear somebody saying bad things against you, don't get discouraged, because they are your friends and many others are there who are saying good things about you. You see, so it's also always a question of balancing. You may be highly popular, many people bowing down to you in respect, and that's why His Holiness, when he goes in a crowd, he also goes like this. You see, when people show respect, he doesn't go like this. There are many, I've seen many who goes like this. Many leaders, just to show how great they are, they will intentionally come late for a meeting or a conference. If the meeting is at 10, they'll come at 11 to make sure that people are able to see that long carpet, and then this guy with fat belly comes out. Really, maybe a little bit exaggeration, but it's really something like that. But His Holiness goes like this, going to everybody. And actually that's good for your health. If you adopt that low stage, that is the way to reach to the higher state. And many of the Buddhist texts, they say you should find for yourself where the beautiful green grasses and flowers, they grow down in the valley or on the exposed top of a mountain. Green grasses, beautiful flowers, they grow down in the valley. So similarly, just like the valley, if we practice humility, then you become receptive, you listen to others, you get all the information, all the knowledges. But with small knowledge, if you get puffed up and think, I am somebody, then you don't listen to others. So therefore many of the so-called leaders, they don't listen to people, they only order. You see? So therefore it is important to observe that humility. So therefore he says, you may be highly popular, many people bowing down to you in respect, and your material fortune may be equal to the god of wealth, realizing that worldly fortunes have no substance. Today you are president, tomorrow you are in the jail. This is what we read in the newspaper all the time, because you don't understand. If you are popular, then you have to be extra careful to maintain that popularity. If you people show respect, you have to be extra careful to maintain that respect. If you have a lot of wealth, then it is the time to share that wealth, or at least you enjoy, don't get drunk by that wealth. Many people get drunk by the wealth. Then they come up with all kind of silly activities, which then leads to their downfall. You see, right? And thus remaining free of arrogance is a bodhisattva practice. So in the Buddhist practice, the first thing that we do is pay homage to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, bow down. This process of paying homage and bowing down is antidote to arrogance. The first thing that we do is bow down. That means I am a learner. I am not somebody who has all the knowledges, right? Some questions? Any questions? No question, then I'll read the next verse. Now, in your spiritual practice, the two most important obstructive factors are attachment and hatred, as we briefly discussed earlier. So therefore, be extra careful when attachment arises or hatred arises. Don't give opportunity to them. Because unless you destroy, the verse number 20, because unless you destroy the internal enemy, hatred, your external enemies will increase even as you destroy them. This is what is happening in today's world. The so-called external enemy, they try to eliminate. In the beginning, when the problem is about to start, and when they are suggested, not to fight, but to make a compromise or negotiation, people don't listen. They start fighting. And then they fight and kill many people on both the sides, then completely tired. Then they say, ceasefire. Really, we are so stupid. You see? You have to adopt this ceasefire, because how long you are going to kill? That's what he's saying. Unless you destroy the internal enemy hatred, your external enemies will increase even as you destroy them. There is not even a single case or single story where the most powerful king destroyed all his enemy and died peacefully. There's no such a story. We can read like the story of Alexander the Great and so forth, conquered almost the half of the world, but at the end he asked his followers to bring all that sacks of gold coins that he has looted. Ask these people to bring all this sacks of gold coin to put in front of him, and then he did like this and died, saying that, see, I looted and plundered and killed so many people, now I'm going empty-handed. There's a story like that, you see. This is really true. So controlling, and then internal enemy, as I said, is the worst enemy. Imagine you are sleeping with your enemy. External enemy, somebody horrible enemy. If somebody says, okay, tonight you have to sleep with your enemy, or that enemy will be in your room, you will not get a wink of sleep. Now with hatred you are sleeping. Worst enemy. But believe me, when you have strong hatred, you don't get sleep. Just the enemy. When you have strong attachment, you can't get sleep, proper sleep, you see. So this kind of negative emotions, they destroy your health, they destroy your wealth, they destroy your sleep, they destroy your harmony, destroy your friendship, destroy your name. Their job is to destroy. The job of all these negative emotions is to destroy. There is no other reason. In the case of external enemy, they are horrible, they may be bad, but there is some purpose. Maybe for their society, maybe for their country, something like that. But the negative emotions, what is their purpose? There's no other purpose, only to destroy you. So therefore, why should you give opportunity to this negative emotion? That is what the text is saying. Second, taking attachment into the path. Sensual objects are like salty water. The more you enjoy them, the more attachment increases. Hence, abandoning immediately those things towards which you develop craving and desire is a bodhisattva practice. Sensual objects are like salty water. Sensual objects. The whole world is running today in pursuit of getting sensual objects. The big malls are coming up because of sensual objects. And with a little bit of exaggeration, I tell people, if you go down to a big mall and visit the 5-6 floors, it's exactly according to our demands. Sensual object means object of the 5 senses. So let us, with a little exaggeration, say that the mall has 5 floors. The first floor is, let us say, form, physical form, like television, where you see the physical forms. Because the business people, they know we are attracted to the forms. So you show some beautiful forms in the television, then people will buy their television. Sensual objects. Then you go to the next floor, CDs, DVDs of Japanese song, Chinese song, American song, Tibetan song. It is there, I am not exaggerating. Television is there. This kind of CD, DVDs are there in one of the floors. You spend a lot of money. because you are obsessed with the songs. Go to the next floor. All kind of perfumes. Normally perfumes are on the ground floor. I've seen this in most of them. I don't know what is the reason, Yeah, perfumes made from this flower, that flower, and then you put a little bit, and then look at it, and then you buy it, you see. Zugda tea. Then next, restaurant. Tongue. Taste. Then next, clothes. Shirts, pants, whatever, all kind of clothes. So, if you visit the malls, they are modeled on the demands of our senses. And this things that is flooding the market is fueling our senses. In other words, taking advantage of our weaknesses. The world is suffering today because we are all running after sensual objects, Sensual objects are outside, not inside. Sensual objects are primarily outside, so we are all running outside. And inside, who is there? Nobody there. This building, the body of our, which is like a building, owner is not there. The owner is running after this man, this woman, this object, that object, running. And inside, nobody is cleaning the dust. House is getting dilapidated. Cobwebs are there. Dust gathering in the form of depression, loneliness, because you are not in touch with yourself. So therefore Buddhist teachings are saying, keep in touch with yourself. Meditation means keeping in touch with yourself. Mindfulness means being alert, aware of your feelings. Again, keeping in touch with yourself. Right? Yesterday I spoke about rearranging the internals. Right? So that's what he's saying. Because if you run after these sensual objects, there will never be a time when you say, okay, now I'm satisfied with these sensual objects. Because these sensual objects, he says, is like salty water. The more you drink, the more you will get thirsty. The more you drink, the more you get thirsty. And with respect to that, I remember what His Holiness said. When you run after sensual objects, means external material objects. Material objects are products of our environment. So material objects are physical objects, therefore by definition they have a limitation. So if you have unchecked greed and run after these sensual objects which has limitation, what will happen? A time will very soon come when you have depleted all the external material objects, because there is a limit. That's why we are seeing pollution of water, pollution of air, dwindling natural resources, because we are running after sensual objects, cutting the trees, polluting the water, So His Holiness says when it comes to the external material sources, they have a limitation. So you cannot make unlimited progress. Every country says the GDP should grow. And His Holiness says, you cannot, this is stupid, you cannot make this unlimited progress from limited resources, because you are going to kill the resources. Contrarily, in terms of your internal resources, sky is the limit. You can make as much progress as you want, but there we are all satisfied, At the best, we'll say, I did my 5-minute morning meditation, And then for the rest of the time, rest of the life, there is no sign of any practice. And people ask this question repeatedly. People have asked this question to me, saying, when His Holiness gives a teaching and then gives a commitment to do the 6-session Guru Yoga practice, then they say, Geshe-la, why do we have to do this 6 sessions, 6 times? Why? I had no answer in the beginning. Then later on I found an answer. Nowadays they ask this question, then I answer them by saying, how many times you eat? For our body we eat so many times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, then in between like Kit Kat, whatever, so many things. So when it comes to spiritual practice, then we say, why should I do this many times? And out of this is this body and the mind. The mind is more important. Of course, you need to give more food to the mind than to the body, you see. So that makes, again, I think, perfect sense. So, good night. Thank you. I'll stop here.